Good evening. It is Saturday. It is gone 8 o'clock, and there's a touch of deja vu in here. Um, if you're wondering what's happened, actually, we'd already started doing this, and then realised we weren't streaming. So we're doing this all again. So this week we are doing Mind of Evil, Doctor Who. Chris, I know you said that you didn't know this one or weren't very familiar with this, but just for the people watching, what's your familiarity with Mind of Evil?
Well, I know that it gives the Doctor more of a James Bond kind of persona. It kind of relegates Unit a bit into being more of a bunch of security guards rather than the United Nations Intelligence Task Force. They're more United Nations than they are Task Force. And I also know that the guy that directed it was never to direct Doctor Who again because of his expensive use of a helicopter. But beyond that, not a lot. I mean, I may have seen it when we start watching it. It may come back to me, but I am watching mine in black and white because I've got the original found ones from when it was missing. I haven't got the new DVD Swish version.
Yeah. I mentioned that I'm actually going to be watching this on BritBox because BritBox has all the classic series of Doctor Who on the site, and it's everything from An Unearthly Child to Survival. So that's how I'm going to be viewing my Doctor Who. Look, this is a different story to previous versions of the Third Doctor. It's not as I don't think it's as high end cerebrally as some of the other concepts. Um, I want to say that in terms of what you get out of this one, see, I don't rate this story as good as previous because I think that there are a lot of logical fallacies in the story, things that you can just simply think your way around. Um, or simply the things that just don't make sense. Um, that's really why I don't really love this episode. It's still good. I think it's a slower paced story. Um, though you do get some good action in it. It's better. I personally think it's better directed. I know you made a comment about the director there being asked not to do it again. It's a shame because to me, cinematically, it looks brilliant. Orchestrally, Dudley Simpson is actually putting a bit of effort in compared to last week's uh, little tinkle that he did on the keyboard. Um, I think that because honestly, there are some shots in this I think are absolutely wonderful, like genuinely absolutely brilliant shots. The set in this looks good. The visual effects in this are good as well. There's model effects and visual effects, and I think that it's a very very solid production. Like I said, the story isn't as great or as thrilling, the idea, but it's definitely a Doctor Who episode that kind of gets sidelined between some of the bigger players. Um, I think it I think it's got some good. I want to say distractions as opposed to subplots. It's got a lot of good concept ideas, but I don't think they get executed that well. This plot was obviously if you don't know about it, this plot was actually it was achieved by I got a feeling it was based on A Clockwork Orange. I'm fairly sure that's what this was inspired by. Um, so it's got out there kind of ideas, um, but it's also got another subplot that's been worked into the script to make it 6 episodes, and that kind of that kind of gets sidelined. It's always there, but I think that once you get past the whole subplot, it kind of just stays in the background. It never comes back up again. So it could be. I think it could be a little bit tighter in some places, but in all honesty, I can't really sort of pick on the production of this because it's really good production value. If I had to give it, praise for anything, it would be the production value of the story. I think that it achieves a certain level that we don't see in Doctor Who very often. That's pretty much it, really, Chris. I don't really have anything else to really add to this particular episode of Doctor Who. It's got a good solid cast. Michael Sheard makes an appearance, and he's not playing a villain this time, which is great. It's an unusual thing for him to step into a Doctor Who role and not be the bad guy.
Did I read? I'm sure I read somewhere when I was queuing up the information for this episode that the Doctor speaks another human language in this for the first time.
Yeah,
ever.
Hokkien. Yeah, Chinese. Yeah, Hokkien. Yeah, it's no, that one there. I don't know a great deal about Hokkien. As far as I'm aware, it's more of a Taiwanese language. I think at this moment in time, I mean, maybe in the 70s, Hokkien was probably more widely spoken. It's more of a East China thing, I believe.
No, I have no idea.
I think it's more of a language that's spread around things like Singapore, Taiwan. It maybe at this moment in time, Beijing is called Peking, so it's at that point whereby the country's still, getting back on its feet, and things are changing up dramatically. So, because I believe at this moment in time, the main language in China is Mandarin. I could be wrong about that, but I don't really hear a lot about Hokkien. I don't know about you, but it's not a language that tends to come up very often.
No, I mean I used to deliver food supplies to Chinese restaurants and takeaways and markets, and the two languages that they spoke were Mandarin and Cantonese, and it seemed to be mainly Cantonese. I think Sichuan is the other one, isn't it? The other language.
Yeah,
the other dialect.
There's several dialects around there. I mean, Asia's a big place. It's not like
oh yes,
it's not. If you imagine how vastly different things are between just southern England and Scotland, how varied that is. You go to China and it's 1,000 times bigger. I mean, so you're gonna get variations all over the place. But yeah, I mean, he does talk Hokkien in this. I don't know as far as I'm aware, but I don't know how accurate he is. Maybe somebody watching would know, but he seems fairly apt. And I mean, that's one of Jon Pertwee's things, though, is that he does tend to get himself involved a lot with. When he gets involved in a story, he likes to be. You know how Bond has always been sort of like the man in the know.
Yeah.
He's kind of that. And it plays to the Doctor's intelligence that he would be able to speak it. So yeah, it does come up. And it's I think it presents an interesting idea of the Doctor's position as well, because he's not there to criticize. It's about a Chinese delegation that takes place in an embassy around this sort of summit, and the Doctor doesn't really comment on it, which is good. I like the fact that politically the Doctor takes a standoffish position. Imagine that, not dictating to people things on screen.
Blimey. Not sure I can cope with that level of individuality, mate.
Actually taking a position of neutrality. It's almost refreshing, I think. again, we get a good diverse cast in this as well. So, for anybody who's ticking the diversity boxes, but actually they cast these people based on the fact that they're good actors and they fill those particular criteria roles. There's really not a lot I can say about that really, without giving plot away. So yeah, I'm all for making a start on this. If you are,
I am at 0-0 on episode 1.
Yeah, I'm about to. I'm just still setting things up. Pixen Lim plays Captain Chun-Li. Oh, God, they got to do better with their names. They've got to. It's not the it's not the best of names to be going up with. But yeah, I believe she actually made a replacement. I think there were a couple of replacements in the cast of this. But I think they were sort of last minute things. I know they cast certain people, and then when they were like looking at it, they were kind of like going, I'm not sure that's the best acting I've seen. So, because Andy Ho was cast as Fu Peng and was replaced by Christopher Coombe, just because they weren't happy with his acting. So that really, they must have had the time there as well to do that with the production. You don't normally get that with Doctor Who. Normally they're up against the wall and it's get it done, get it on film, get it in the can, and get it on the air. So, I mean,
yeah, that's what it usually seems to be like with these we watch. It's like, get it done.
Yeah, that's it. It's like cut, paste, stick it on TV. This is a good show for this episode's a good show for Captain Yates as well. By the way, this kind of makes him more an action hero. Kind of a bit more stiff upper lip, and I don't know what's the term to use really, but I think that there's it's a good at portraying soldiers as heroes. I think this is really good for that. I think that's what I would say about this episode, is that it paints UNIT as following a moral line. I would say there's a lot of thought with the Doctor going into this. We've had this before, whereby the Doctor spends a lot of time dissecting the plot or dissecting and analysing what to do. But in this one, I feel like Jon Pertwee's a little bit stifled. Considering what we've had in the previous episode, whereby he's literally doing tests and physically testing things to come up with a solution. In this, it's more of a cerebral test, I think. It's still good, but I don't feel like the story's as strong. I think the production's stronger, but I don't feel the story is as strong. So anyway, I'm ready to make a start if you are.
I am hovering over the play button, waiting for your countdown.
Well, I've got to cue this because BritBox likes to put a little advert on at the start. And I'm going to be pressing play, and I may have to skip when we get to like episode 2. I've got a funny feeling BritBox is going to put an advert in between every single episode. I don't know if it does, but I've got a funny feeling it will. So we may have to do some shenanigans. But anyway,
That's what we do best.
Anyway, I'm going to be pressing play for Mind of Evil in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, I like the little warning I get there. May contain scenes scary for younger children, contain some violence. Always good. That's what you want from Doctor Who. That's literally what you want. Scary for young children, contain some violence. There we go. Death.
Can't go wrong with that.
And I got my coffee as well, so.
Oh, yeah. I got a coffee.
Good locations in this as well.
To say I've got Nescafe Azura Americano this evening.
I got Nescafe Original. I think what I like with this production value wise is that sometimes it's quite tricky to tell when it goes from location to the studio.
Yeah, well, I'm going to find that even more difficult watching the black and white version.
Is it black and white all the way throughout? It's gotta be.
Yeah, it is. I checked earlier before you sent me the come and join me message.
I just think it just like, had that been Unit, he did just open the gate without him having to get out.
Yeah. Had that have been a certain present doctor, it would have been psychic paper. You can come in.
Yeah. But then the modern Doctor wouldn't have Bessie, so.
Well, he bloody well should do. That's all I'm going to say to that. Can you imagine Christopher Eccleston driving about in that?
Yeah.
It would have been brilliant.
I could have definitely have seen Peter Capaldi doing it. I'm surprised he didn't insist on doing it. It'd be nice for Bessie to have a comeback.
Norman Stanley Fletcher.
Yeah. You get that vibe.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, they've cast a lot of people to type in this, haven't they?
Yeah.
Again, there's Michael Sheed. And the hairdryer from hell. I love the framing on this. It's the precursor to the Asbo.
The Asbo meter.
Yeah.
They still do Asbos. Don't hear much of that anymore,
No,
do
you
you?
don't, yeah. I think they still do, yeah. I think what I like with the cinematography in this is that they're allowing them to walk around the set.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very much like being there and moving your head to watch him walk around, isn't it? So,
Yeah. I mean, you're seeing everything you need to see.
Yeah.
Like, they could have played this speech with him standing still, all in close up, and it would have played exactly the same way. But instead, they're showing you all the scene happening all at the same time. I think it's really good for cinematography. See, like that shot there, you've got the guy operating the machine and the guy talking, both in the same shot, being played off, shooting past each other. They haven't positioned him in front, so that he's front and centre.
Yeah, it's a similar sort of framing as what we had in Vengeance on
Yeah,
Varos.
but I mean, they've also triggered the light in you to make you feel like something more intense is going. It's like the birth of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
See, no, they've brought the lights up.
Don't know. That's very similar music to last week.
It gets better. Trust me. There's an actual score here, but he's playing menace music there. It does improve, and um, less heavy on the sci-fi button.
I like the sci-fi button.
But I genuinely I think the cinematography in this is absolutely brilliant.
Like that, the close up of the phone there
Well, the tracing.
was superb.
Well, I mean, the previous shot whereby the Doctor and Joe got up out of the chairs and walked forward, they purposely kept the camera in one place and let them walk into shot.
Yeah.
Didn't track them in. Didn't try to move the camera. Just let them come into it. And I do like cinematography that plays off more on a widescreen. Less close-ups. Only use close-ups for what they for intensity. I like the Doctor's arrogance and the fact that he can be dismissive of the Brigadier. What the Brigadier finds important.
Yeah.
It comes with the Doctor's swagger, really. Or this Doctor's swagger, I should say.
Yeah.
Because if you can say anything about Pertwee's Doctor, he's a bit pompous.
A bit.
But it works well for him. It works
Oh
well
yeah,
for him.
he's absolutely great. But yeah, he's definitely a very holier than thou character in at certain points.
Oh yeah. Now, is Chun-Li Chun-Li's mother?
Well, depends whether she does a spinning bird kick or not, doesn't
Thunderfoot.
it?
Have we just tied Doctor Who into the Street Fighter universe?
Well, mate, that works fine with me, and you know it. I haven't got an arcade machine in my dining room for nothing.
Well, it would explain Blanca.
It would, wouldn't it? It's nice that they're using a Chinese actress rather than making someone up. I mean, as much as I
And
like
she's still acting today.
the talons of Wing Chiang, it's a lot better to actually have an outright ethnicity to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, we get a couple in this, but I think what's good with this sort of acting, with what they've done, is the fact that they're not drawing attention to things. Like these days, can you imagine? You got one of the main character antagonists now who's Chinese. That'd be front page news.
Unnecessarily so as well.
So I mean, these back when they made this was just like, we just have an actress playing a major role.
Yeah, and you do realise, of course, if it weren't for the way things have gone today with television and films and what have you, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We'd just be saying, "Oh yeah, she's just playing Chun-Li. Got this actress." You know, it wouldn't have even entered into the psyche. But because of what they've done recently, we're going on about it.
It's
absurd,
stop, probably. Isn't it? Yeah, we should. Yeah. So, she's playing a strong female character, and she's Chinese. Revelation.
Thing is, before we get off that subject, you know damn well that if it was front page news,
yeah,
and now we're going about how diverse that was, something like the Sun or the Mirror or one of those sort of tabloid rags would have something like Doctor Wu or Doctor Fu or something like that, and try and say that that's not incredibly racist.
Yeah, I know.
It's
you know, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's. This is why when we watch shows like this, I find what's happening today so pompous. Like it's like they invented it. There's a pretentiousness about what's going on, and to me, like it's backwards.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about this. The Doctor keeps changing how old he is, right? And I was thinking about this, and actually, this is something that's come up before, and I realised that it was Patrick Troughton that solved it, and that he calculates his age based on where he is.
Yeah.
So for example, because an Earth year isn't as long as a Gallifreyan year, which isn't as long as a Varos year. It's not as long as they're all different techniques. So where he is in the universe depends on how old he is, and the Doctor's clever enough to work out how old he is where he is. So there's not really an inconsistency in the Doctor's age. It's just that he's able to work it out depending on what planet he's on. No. No, I'm going to stay out here. I'm going to talk on the other side of the door. No, that woman there is quite unfortunate. It's not her fault. I don't blame her at all. But if you look at her, she does kind of look like Stanley Baxter in a wig. I'm just saying she does.
Well, you know, she didn't until you said that.
Do you want to see her? Well, the next time she pops up on screen, it'll be like, oh. And she's got that unfortunate, severe hairdo.
Yeah, that is very severe.
See, they've uplit this set. Where he's walking around on that platform, all the lighting's coming from down below. It's stuff that they wouldn't normally do in a BBC studio.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The plot thickens.
I like the fact that that just played out into silence. Like all the music and everything just faded off and it just. I like the fact that the governor is actually, not just blanket bomb like, no, no, we can't do that.
Yeah, it's I think the phrase I'm looking for is it's more realistic to do that. People don't genuinely say, "Oh no, no, no," unless they're told to,
Yeah.
and he hasn't been told to yet. Well, you weren't wrong about the Stanley Baxter thing, anyway. Thanks for that, Carl.
Um, The actress name there is Peck Sen Lim, Peek Sen Lim,
All right.
and she is Chinese, but she's Chinese Malaysian. So I'm wondering whether or not that plays a part in the actual Hokkien scenario.
It's possible.
But no, she's still doing. She's still acting now. I mean, she's got a short film coming out now. It's in post production. Do you know what I find interesting about Michael Sheard in this? His performance reminds me a lot of Tom Hardy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got a very sort of, or Tom Hardy's got a very sort of Sheard vibe around him. We're about to come up to a cliffhanger, of course. We're about to get the Pertwee freakout face.
Yeah, that's when he just looks like Wurzel Gummidge.
I mean, in fairness, it like he doesn't do it that often. I mean, from our point of view, he does because we watch it every week. But to him, it's been months, like literally. But that's the end of the first episode.
Yeah, so far so good.
It is very good. Like I said, production value wise, it's really good. Like I said, there's logical fallacies here, but I'm glad that they're not falling on typical tropes. Like I said, with the governor actually going, we're gonna have to clear this, but because I don't have the authority to do that, I have to refer this upward. But I'm not against the idea,
Yeah.
It's not just a blanket bomb of no, we can't do that possibly ever. No. So now then, have I got an advert? Episode what? I do have an advert, I'm afraid.
I'll press pause. Tell me when your advert's over, man.
It's there we go, and it's about to start now. There we go. Episode 2, Mind of Evil.
Oh no, I haven't even got that far yet. I'm still on John Pertwee's face.
No, no, that's where I am.
Oh right.
Doctor Who, The Mind of Evil. Not to be confused with The Mind of Elvis.
No, that's completely different.
You don't normally get the middle eight in an opening theme.
No, that's actually quite different, isn't
Yeah.
it? Top of that machine is a bit Dalek-ish, though, isn't it?
I think that's what they're going for because there is mention of the actual mind inside, and I'm not entirely against the idea that it is actually Dalek. I don't think we ever get clarification as to what it is, so it's entirely possible. See, the musical score in this is it's really good.
Got to say as well, I had forgotten how good Katie Manning was in this.
Oh yeah.
Not having seen that many with her in, I forgot.
I'm just looking at what Timothy Coombe did. And yeah, he obviously gave up to be an actor's agent. But he did, obviously done Doctor Who and the Silurians, and had done fight sequences as well for previous Doctors. I mean, I think that's the main takeaway from this episode as well, is that it's all about the power of the mind.
Yeah.
I think that's just a little thing thrown in just to kind of show that Pertwee's more dynamic. That he can handle himself.
Yeah.
Again, I think this episode does have a pretty good showing for Jo Grant. She's not just sort of. She is more proactive than just asking questions.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting here, I believe, and I could be wrong here, but I believe the location they're on right now is the same location that was used in the War Machines with William Hartnell. I believe that street where she is standing is just down from where they trap one of the War Machines. Whilst facing up against Wotan.
Well, that was quite weird. That affected him like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the end of the street where he just run from was where the TARDIS was on the corner. So they're reusing locations. But I think yeah, unless you knew exactly where they were, I think you'd be okay not to know. Cack my pants, sir. That's how you get away from somebody. You don't want the power to render them unconscious. You just want to give them diarrhea.
Yeah, you want them to canker their underpants.
Just like that. Ah! The ability to make somebody throw up. That would totally debilitate them.
There is a sound weapon that does that in there. There's also the alleged brown note as well that makes people loosen their bowels.
I don't think so. I don't think that's a real thing. I don't think you could use sound harmonics for that.
Well, I'd rather not try and find out, to be honest.
You'd have to lose muscular control. I don't believe that's a possibility.
You'd also have to sit on the throne while testing it, just in case you're wrong.
Yeah, but I don't think that's how reverberate. I don't think that you could find a reverberation that would specifically target muscular tissue.
Well, I hope you're right. Because I'd be a right git if I discovered that, I can tell you.
But again, I think that's another thing, is that if there was a thing, I think that it would be more popular. There'd be more instances of it. Particularly in nightclubs.
Stock Aitken and Waterman music makes me want to chuck. Oh, there's the reveal.
Yeah. But again, it like we were saying last week, there's a lot more Mission Impossible type stuff happening with this particular period.
Yeah. But it really works, and it also helps that the cinematography is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for the most part, the writing's pretty good as well. And with all of these old Doctor Who's, it's the fact that everyone that's playing the parts is playing it like they believe it, which makes a huge difference.
I tell you what I was thinking about when talking about how the acting has changed over the years. Mm-hmm. These days, I don't feel like the actors, and maybe it's a rehearsal thing, but these days I don't feel like the actors are doing anything other than performing. Whereas here, I feel like they're actually engrossed in the scene. And that's not to do modern acting a disservice. I just feel like these people believe where they are.
Yeah, but then that makes more believable for us as the viewer. Whereas nowadays, it does appear a lot like they're just going through the motions. I'm not talking about some of the, the big proper actors. I mean, as much as I'm the man himself,
mm-hmm.
Everything Tom Cruise has appeared in, he's believable in the character. Because he's acting the part and getting into it. Christian Bale's another one. But some of the actors we get these days, especially on television, it's like, all right, I've done that. Where's my money? At least that's how it seems.
I mean, it's hard to say because I've worked on a soap opera, and on something like that, you literally they get at 7 o'clock in the morning, they leave 10 o'clock in the night, and they shoot all day, and it's literally get it in, get it out, get it done. There's no time for working out the scene. You've literally hit that mark, so you're like, move on.
I suppose so.
I wish they would give people more time for things like soap operas and things like that. It's just this whole consumption thing of we need 5 out per week. It's like, why? Have 1 out per week. Make it valuable. Make a good
Yeah.
solid production.
All you got to do is double the length, make it one, and then got more chance to make other stuff as well. Then.
But just make it better. You got more time to make it quality. No, there are elements of Cantonese in that I can pick up. I'm not sure having the Doctor associate with Mount Maxiton.
Well, it definitely sounds like believable Chinese language because obviously I've been around a lot of Chinese language in the past.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's very like it's got a familiar sound to it.
I haven't had a quick look there. The stream's running a lot smoother this week.
Oh, cool. That could be what it was just the fact that the bitrate was trying to output too high.
He's turned into Bernard Bresslaw, isn't he? That's what he sounds like. All right,
Yeah.
Sid.
Yeah, that's exactly what he sounds like. Yeah.
That's no bad thing either. I used to really like Bernard Bresslaw.
It's Neil McCarthy, it is, isn't it? I mean, he's been a Doctor Who regular as well. Came back in the Power of Kroll. He's got a very distinctive face.
They're a rowdy bunch, aren't they?
Well, I think the idea is that this the machine doing it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the idea is that the machine is actually affecting the people's minds. But again, it's a good testament to how good the sound effects are in this.
Oh yeah.
The sound design in this is very good. It's a bad place to put a gun. You end up shooting yourself in the shoulder or head. No time for the brig at all. None. See, the music is actually thematic.
You have a little typecast of racist.
Yeah, it's thematical. I mean, like Dudley Simpson was having a good week this week.
Well, it's not me that's got a problem with his other stuff last week.
No, but I mean, I don't think you can compare the two. I think that this is leaps and bounds better. See, here's the logical fallacy. Like, why would you do that with a rocket?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And even if you were doing it with a rocket, you'd make sure that you'd remove the primer so it couldn't launch.
Just imagine
Hmm.
if Peter Capaldi had scripts like this.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it just leaps and bounds better.
Because I believe Peter had it in him to be as good as Tom Baker or even, John Pertwee. He just didn't have the writing for it.
Again, I've said it before. I think if he'd had better writing, he wouldn't have regenerated when he did. See, it's things like that with the cut off of the music when he snapped his fingers. That's what I think is done really well.
Yeah.
See, if I had done that, the door would have just come back and smacked me in the face. Yeah, poof,
Why
poof.
would you be wandering around the prison with a gun?
Why not?
It's a bit naughty.
There's nothing wrong with the video. It is a lighting effect.
Yep.
his American accent's a bit in and out, isn't it?
Yeah, it serves the purpose it needs to.
Yeah, it's not as prominent.
You know, if you're going to measure the bottom end of accents, we've got Keanu Reeves in Dracula, or Bram Stoker's Dracula for starters.
Dick Van Dyke.
No, Dick Van Dyke's a legend. We won't talk about Dick Van Dyke. When I used to work at a particular popular supermarket on nights, for a laugh, we formed the Dick Van Dyke Appreciation Society. And one night at about 3 o'clock in the morning, my brother used to have this Sierra that had basically the boot was speakers. And he had the Mary Poppins soundtrack, and he played Let's Go Fly a Kite as loud as he could at 3 o'clock in the morning. It didn't disturb any people living by, because the depot had great big concrete banks and that to block the sound of the lorries, but got a few strange looks from the shunters driving around the yard.
I can imagine you would.
She's playing creepy and controlled really well, isn't she?
Oh yeah. No, she's brilliant. And that's a good cliffhanger as well.
I'm waiting for to discover his body, and then someone say his wounds are consistent with a dragon attack. Because I want to know how they're going to explain that one.
His wounds are consistent with a mythical creature. So that's the end of episode 2. So
it's a long cast list as well.
Yes, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty solid big cast. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, if the most that you could pick up on for acting in this is, you know, Tommy Duggins in and out with his American accent. I've got a little presenter. Did you see Jack? Doctor Who, yes. Episode 3 start now. That was quick. I didn't expect that. It literally flashed up the BritBox and just started playing.
So I was ready with me buttons.
It's now saying Doctor Who. No. The mind of you all.
I might be about a second behind you, but that's close enough.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect that. By Don Horton. Houghton.
Houghton.
Horton. Houghton. Horton. Eaton. Alright, but make it short, will you? I love the fact that he just slips in and out of it. It's nothing against him, obviously. See, and again, it's a good thing that they do with this creature as well, is that they're not showing you too much of it.
No.
You know, all you saw that was the sort of turn-in shot there. He was attacked by a creature from Mr. Knockout.
What, a creature and a monster worse than Stuart Hall?
Oh dear. But again, I think the sound design of this is shoring up the acting as well, the cast.
Yeah.
Because once it's a good cast, it's making it feel like there's a lot more.
I don't know where they filmed the prison sequences, but if it's a built set, it's very good.
It's a set, yeah, it's a BBC set. No, so going with what I was saying earlier about the Hokkien accent and the thing. So she's Malaysian, or she is Chinese, but she's Chinese Malaysian. Now the guy Christopher Coombe who plays Fu Pen is Singapore, so that would be consistent because Singapore is Hokkien along with Taiwan. So it makes sense. I don't know what the local colloquial term for Hokkien in Singapore is. I have no idea.
Asian would probably be easiest, more encompassing. Yeah, but you're not gonna offend anyone because it is so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I couldn't possibly tell you. Like there might be a local colloquial term for it. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm assuming that there's different dialects and there's bound to be different names for them.
No, Daleks are in different episodes, mate.
See, this musical score, that bass line has lost that the sci-fi, ring modulator vibe to it. It's just a score.
It is, but man, I love ring modulation. Got to remember, one of my favourite musical instruments is the Commodore 64 SID chip, and that uses ring modulation a lot. I like the way you can hear the typewriters going still as well.
Yeah.
Like you say, the sound design is superb.
All the production in this is good. The fact that the light was still on, the desk lamp. And again, things are at different levels bear on where the camera is as well. So that's another consideration. You know, the camera's closer to the phone, so the phone was louder. And even little things like that, you know, like distorting the audio so it sounds like it's coming over radio. It really sounds like it's recorded over radio. Like I said, all these shots, look at it, it's wonderful. It is cinematic. If this were shot in 4:3, you could put this in a cinema.
You put it in 4:3 at the cinema, you just bring this in a bit, don't you?
I suppose you could. Be IMAX. He's twigging on.
He is.
So this is quite a clever set. They actually are only in one block. So they walk up the steps, walk across and walk back down. So they literally go from stage floor up onto a platform and back down to stage floor.
Yeah.
But it makes it, because it's more three-dimensional, it makes it look more like as if they're going through more of a maze.
Yeah.
Whereas actually they're just walking past a thin wall like this. I'm not bluffing! My ass! Havoc having a little bit of fun. See, Joe.
Good old
leading the
Joe.
way. Even if she did shoot somebody in the ass.
Master's driver looks like Argyle. Do you think he's taking the Master to the Nakatomi Plaza?
That'd be a different thing, wouldn't it? Ho ho ho! Welcome to the party, pal.
Yes. Yippee-ki-yay, female parent impregnator.
Yes. I like with Delgado's master here is that he's starting to get his hands dirty.
Yeah.
And early on as well, he's actually... It's not just a case of him being the puppet master, even though that's what he is in this. Again, showing how powerful the master actually is.
That's not too bad a prop either, is it really, that machine?
It's okay. It's if the part it plays later on.
It doesn't look like cardboard and sellotape.
No,
Let's be honest.
It is, but it's I think they could have done something a little bit better based on what happens later in the story. It's a little bit hokey later on. For now, it's okay for what it is. Again, a good props in this as well. No, not. You can see why there's a warning about violence.
Yeah.
There's 3 people dead in a matter of seconds. I like the design of the mask as well because it's unique. It's not just a gas mask. I think it's actually a dust mask with a filter removed. And here's the other thing as well to mention here. This part of the set where they are, on the second floor, you might not realise it, but that's a really awkward bloody thing to shoot. Because they're not on the ground floor. So all the camera equipment and everything's got to be elevated up to, either put it on a cherry picker or something like that and elevate it up to that height, or shoot it via crane. So getting those simple shots isn't that simple. I mean, these days it is because it's all digital cameras. You can just take it wherever you want. But back then, when you were using, the old style 16mm, you're not carrying that up the stairs.
No.
Dun dun dun. So, it does kind of fall into the category of the master being hoisted on his own petard again.
Yeah.
But this is only the second master story. We're looking at this retrospectively. But if we're looking at it from the point of view of the production, this is only the second master story. So it's going to be worth considering that. I think we have to put the story in context. Giving him a bit of a run round.
Yeah. Looks like he's gone to the Empire School of Shooting, that marksman.
They're prisoners, they don't know how to use guns.
Well, they probably do. That's why they're in prison.
Nah, most of them are in there for nicking bread.
There's a fair bit of wobble on that door and wall, though.
Yeah, for a steel door, it looks awful wooden. But I don't think it's a bad showing for the set design.
Oh, no. Looks the part.
I mean, behind the wall, behind the master there, is the set for the governor's office. And to the right of that then is the stairs that go up to the balcony that you can see outside the door there. I think it's quite effective the way that they put the set together.
Yeah, it is.
Just attached to his nuts.
That would have been a very different program.
Testicles of evil. So I think we get a kind of a... I think between episode 3 and episode 4 we get a kind of a jaunty cut between what's going on. Cyberman in there. And that's the end of that. Flying through it. Flying through it. Yeah, this is the thing. I don't think it's ever explained in the story as to what the mind is. But when the Doctor is under his power, he always uses a Dalek voice. So it's not very clear as to where the Master got the brain from. But it wouldn't be without reason to assume that it is actually a Dalek mind that he's cultivated.
Yeah, it does kind of point towards that with the way it is.
I should point out as well, there's little things in here that aren't beyond possibility of being able to tie into things like Day of the Doctor as well. Oh, I've just got the BritBox thing, presented by BBC, and play. Yeah, there's little things that get mentioned, that get brought up, that you could kind of go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Doctor Who, The Mind of Evil, by Don Halloran. And English.
Houghton. I'm going to go with Houghton because the headmaster that was at my senior school when I left was called Mr. Houghton. It was spelled exactly the same way.
Yeah, an Invasion Cyberman there. See, once again, all the prisoners are now... But this is a little bit weird. I'm not sure on why they went down this route with the story. But I think we've now officially lost the whole delegation part of the story.
Yeah, we certainly seem to have done.
Because
that bit's kind of failed, isn't it? Because they sussed out Chin Lee, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe it's because the Doctor got him and was talking to him and explained the situation. But that part of the subplot now, I think, is over and done. Did you know that the Doctor's heartbeat was dubstep?
I do now.
I mean, you're in a man's prison, love. Oh, I wouldn't ask that question. You might not like the answer. It does add a layer to their relationship.
Yep, it does.
See, there's all these little subtle hints that point with being a Dalek, but or at least cultivated from a Dalek. It wouldn't be beyond the Master's mind to have do some genetic manipulation.
No, he's that kind of person, isn't he? Really?
Yeah. Fit to suit his purpose. She's a very good set, very thorough, and very well put together.
There's one thing I can say to sum up Roger Delgado's Master. What a magnificent bastard he really is. He is, though, isn't he?
Magnetic.
He's so suave and such a bastard.
Yeah. I like the fact that the camera is spending a lot of time on doing these floating shots instead of just cut in from one to one. It's actually it's on the move a lot. Like the shot of tracking the Master into this scene.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's almost steady cam, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, very much so. And considering how large and lumpy these units are that they're using, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, just following that around there, just tracking that. Giving him the freedom to move around the set that way is... Yeah, what does an uneven mind fear?
That's a good turnaround, isn't it?
There's a wonderful, and I mean genuinely a wonderful transition shot coming up. It's either this episode or in the next one, whereby it transitions from the Doctor to the Master, and it's brilliantly done. Like I said, the cinematography in this is really top notch. But all of it, you know, the sound effects are good. I just wish it was a stronger story, that's all. But it's still a strong story. I'm not don't think I'm being negative on the story. Again, it's unusual to have Michael Sheard playing a good guy. It's a nice change.
Does show what a versatile TV actor he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's believable whichever way he plays it.
I mean, he's got an eloquence to him, so he can do, like, when he's evil. There's a, I don't know what the word is. Malevolence. Yeah. There's a malevolence to his tone yeah. And when he's been a face, when he's been a good guy, it makes him feel, what's the term? Not timid, but
Meek.
Meek. Yeah, that's what we go along with. But I think it's good either way they play it.
Yeah.
And it's all on him, obviously. I mean, they keep asking him back, so. There you go. How beautiful was that shot?
That was superb. That was absolutely brilliant.
Really, wasn't it? That was a work of art. Yakuza just shown up, said, "Evening lads, bit late for this one." That's okay. We are 14 minutes into episode 4.
Good evening, Mr. Lucosa.
See, in the past, that would have been called a projector. These days, most people would have assumed that was a bomb.
Yeah.
By the way, worth pointing out as well, the missile that they actually got in this is an actual missile. They actually contacted the military, and the military escort that happens in this is actually proper military escort.
Right. The BBC just said, "Can we borrow a missile?" And they went, "Yeah, go on in."
That's pretty much what happened, and when later on, where they explain that it's been hijacked by the prison guards, the 10-6 had to write in a line to explain why they were dressed as soldiers, because they were actually soldiers. Again, Joe Grant being proactive. I think it's what makes Joe Grant an effective companion is the fact that she doesn't sit on the side ends. I can't get my hands dirty. I have to go sit in my office somewhere
Yeah.
while all the bullets are going off.
The old tray on the head trick.
Yeah.
Gets them every time.
While they're all looking for us, let's all stay in the same place.
Yeah. That'll be the last place they look.
It'd be the last thing they'd be expecting is that if we sit right here in this open office. So again, we get to this point now whereby, I mean, you've got people like Havoc, the stunt team, having a bit of fun, and they really direct in this fight, and they sort of like to embellish a little bit. You can tell, well.
It's not the same without the harpsichord, though.
It's quite dynamic for a low budget. I mean, they're making the most of what they got. No. I'm sorry. It's when you see her up there. She just. It's all I got is Stanley Baxter.
Stanley Baxter seems to turn up a lot in streams I take part in.
Is this the story that went so well with a bunch of the director was dropped from working on Doctor Who again? Yes, it was. Yes.
Yep, that's the one.
But again, he quit directing anyway to become an agent anyway, so. Which is a shame because he does a magnificent job.
Yeah, as we've been saying, the camera works second to none.
It's all of it. The directing, the sound design is brilliant. The musical score is a masterpiece compared to last week's.
Yeah, the long shots like that are brilliant.
Yeah,
well.
yeah. They're not overplaying shots either. So things are being edited well. You know, these pan whips onto things whereby this is being played out in one shot. He runs in, sees him, runs over to the bike, gets on the bike and drives off in one play. You know, he checked on Benton and made sure Benton was alright, but that was done in one shot, one take. Again, it's a story for making Yates look a bit more dynamic as well.
Yeah.
Often overlooked as well as a Doctor Who character. Like, people remember Benton and remember the Brig, but Yates has made a big contribution.
Yeah, it was mostly for this series, weren't it?
Mm.
Because he'd gone by the time Tom Baker started, hadn't he?
Yeah. Oh, was he in? No, he wasn't in Robot, was he?
No, that was Harry Sullivan was the other kind
Yeah.
of unit sidekick. Suave chap he was as well.
Yeah.
If a little bit lacking in the brain department, I think Ian Marter played him really well.
Passed away, didn't he? Not long after, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
See, it's difficult to shoot him because he's wearing camouflage. He just blends in.
Useful, they put that stack of boxes there, wasn't it?
They learnt not to hit the bloody script supervisor. I do like how much more unit based this is.
To imagine we're watching something that was made 50 years ago.
Oh yeah. But again, when it's done with quality, you can't complain really. I mean, what would have been in the cinema around all the same time as this was 71, isn't it?
Luke Oza's saying that Yates wasn't in unit for Planet of the Spiders.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't in Robot.
So I mean, at the time, you could see where this is because the Bond film out at this time was Diamonds Are Forever, and this has a very Diamonds Are Forever vibe. The Steven Spielberg movie Duel was out.
Classic.
So yeah, what else? THX 1138. Clockwork Orange, obviously. Dirty Harry. Brilliant film.
Yeah. Good year for films.
Le Mans. Shaft. An effect that becomes synonymous with Blake Seven.
And Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Death in Venice, Big Jake, Red Sun. Yeah, this is where I feel the prop doesn't really work. It needed something else. Bedknobs and Broomsticks was out this year as well. French Connection, possibly. I don't know. I'll have to look. I thought French Connection was later though. No, it was 71. It was late 71, October. Yeah, the prop for the Mind Machine, it looks a little bit pathetic when it's on its own on the floor.
Yeah, it looked all right on the table, but yeah, on the floor it looks a bit...
Like, it's not the most fearsome of things.
No. It's a little bit phallic as well, isn't it?
It should have been a bigger prop, shouldn't it? It should have been something a little bit more imposing. A little bit more up there, right, looking down as opposed to down there. I mean, I guess the idea is that evil comes in all shapes and sizes, I suppose, maybe, but when dealing with it visually, something a little bit more imposing might have worked. It's like somebody put the policeman's helmet on the side table.
Yeah.
That's the end of that one, and we are moving swiftly. What are we in, episode 5 now?
Yeah, we'll be episode 5.
Ah. That's where everything sort of comes into fruition, really. Benton's role was expanded in this serial because one of the cast members became ill. So there's that. John Levine injured his leg after falling badly whilst being hauled out of the truck's cab by a stuntman playing one of the criminals. Yeah, and the missile in this is actually... oh, wait a sec. What's happening here? BritBox. There we go.
Tell me when.
Playing now. There we are. So yeah, for the scene where the missile is hijacked, the production office had been able to secure the loan of a real but unprimed Thunderbird 2 SAGW missile from the 36th Heavy Air Defence Regiment, in addition to a number of troops who would play the Master's men. Unfortunately, however, the soldiers were dressed in military regalia rather than convict garb, probably turning sticks to add the line where Captain Yates explained that the criminals had been wearing fake uniforms. He did a Claws of Axos rewrite before Claws of Axos. We've cast you to play a simpleton.
Yeah. Oh, there's a straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, I mean, they'd used helicopters on previous ones, why not? It makes it more authentic. They're supposed to be a government military operation, international government. I mean, if a multi-international organisation can't afford a helicopter, we're buggered. Yeah, push Joe out first.
They keep almost escaping.
It's one of the faults that I don't like about this episode is the fact that they constantly get captured and recaptured and recaptured. I know they are supposed to be in a prison, but It's one of the faults of the production of it not being so high budget, because they're still stuck in the same couple of sets. So if anything, I would actually side with the director on this one. With Timothy Koolman, say, look, actually, he did the right thing. The BBC might not like it, but he did the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he did what was better for the production than was better for the BBC, basically.
Oh, this has got longevity way above a lot of 70s episodes of Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the line.
Yep.
I would definitely side with the director and use the story as an example of why the budget for Doctor Who should have been raised. Absolutely. But when you've got somebody like this
Not wrong.
who's spending the money this way and is shooting this so cinematically, and again, the sound design in this is brilliant. So it's he's definitely made the right decision. This thing is way more timeless than other episodes of Doctor Who. I mean, he's made UNIT convincing. I'm not sure how the Master could promise somebody a pardon, but yeah.
Yeah. Major Cosworth just sounds like a big sports.
I was going to say the same thing. Is he a Sierra or is he RS Cosworth? Major Richard Stephen Cosworth.
Yeah.
Greyhound 7's a call sign that sticks with Yates, doesn't it?
I'll take your word for it, mate. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that he used that call sign quite a bit. I just love the fact that he just got shushed by Joe. Star Trek game. Like, here's a small thing, right? It's not a huge decision that they've made, but when they designed the sets there, they've actually moved the door off being square. So instead of it being a square room, you've got most of of a square room, but where the door is, it's actually facing camera.
Yeah.
So it allows for all the actors to enter and exit the room in camera, because obviously the fourth wall is missing. So the fact that they've offset the door so that it's always facing front, just a simple small thing like that. It's very theatrical, but it's a very good idea.
And those walls really do look like they're made out of brick as well. It's a really well put together set.
It's kind of that it's that government sort of gloss paint that's on all sorts of like public toilet walls and things like that.
Yeah.
And everything looks like it's had a thick coat as well. It's not like it looks like it's been painted on and then they've painted over it.
Yeah.
My God, he's a suck up, isn't he?
I'll tell you what, if we was doing our recasting again and we had to cast a Major Cosworth,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say mid-80s Tim McInerney would be brilliant.
Oh, who could do it now? Oh.
I'll tell you, it'd be great. It'd look the part as well now. David Tennant.
Yeah. Oh, what's his name? Comedian Jack Whitehall.
Yeah, Jack White will be able to do it as well.
He's got that real sort of upper middle class tone to his voice. That's um.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. My screener went funny.
Yeah,
then.
I seen it flash off. But again, they have cast a lot of type. You know, they've got all these people with sort of bent noses to play the criminals and all the all the soldiers are sort of dynamically fit and very heroic looking. Now again, this is Pertwee working with props. Watch what he does here with Delgado. It's brilliant. See, it's those little things. You tell him what switch to press, where that sort of thing is.
You know, these two worked great together on set, didn't they?
Yeah,
I mean, they'd friends in real life, didn't they? Which is
yeah.
one of the contributing factors to John Pertwee quitting the role, weren't it?
I mean, you got Pertwee there who's done a complete costume change. Chucked on his lab coat, his visor, and his gloves. Didn't have to. I mean, See, there's the Dalek voice again. Take that, prop wall. I think that's a brilliant scene. It's so simple, but it's the Doctor and the Master working in conjunction with each other. Yeah, he's done being clubbed on the back of the head again. See, this is where I'm gonna like take points off. Is the fact that they've had to drag this out to 6 episodes now, and there's scenes like this, which is great character scenes,
Yeah.
but they don't need to be there.
Yeah, it does bring the pace down a bit, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
He doesn't need biscuits. He's got a console that dispenses them. Bastard.
You had to bring that out,
It grinds my teeth.
didn't you? I can think of worse things.
So, I mean, it's a lovely scene. And again, it's something that does play into Day of the Doctor. But it doesn't have to be there at all. It's just
No,
stretching
I was expecting it to be a lot more stretched out and a lot worse than that, though. So
No, but it's little ones. It's here and there. There's scenes in here that are getting thrown in to elongate the story that don't have to be there.
it does let us get to know Joe Grant better, though, because in the previous
I mean,
first episode, we didn't get to know her that well.
That's always the trade-off, though. You either sacrifice character development for furthering the plot, or you stagnate the plot to do a bit of character development. The good thing is that it's not really doing everything via exposition, that it's actually showing you what's going on.
Yeah.
See, this scene doesn't really have to be here. that whole thing with the guard doesn't have to be there. But it's just showing that it's a little bit more complicated to get inside than you think. And it's giving Nicholas Courtney something else to do other than being just the straight up brig. It's getting him a chance to be a bit more.
And you get to watch Unit twat some blokes.
But again, they're taking full advantage of the location. They're taking full advantage of, you know, the people that they got.
Well, and that camera shot when they all pile out the van there is brilliant.
It's all good.
And this coming up the stairs, yeah, it is all good.
Again, I can't knock the directing on this. The directing on the cinematography. The choice of using a Bedford over a Transit? Huh? Yeah, the doctor didn't realise that he was one of the hostages.
It's nice to see these old episodes with Nicholas Courtney running about shooting and that.
But it's good of the fact that they've got people who know what they're doing with action scenes.
Yeah.
When you've got a dedicated stunt team working on it, it makes a big difference.
Although I do believe that wall climbing was a bit sped up.
I don't know. I've watched it a couple of times. I don't know if it is. Or whether they just scuttle it because they're trying to get onto the wall.
They did to me.
Yeah, I know. But if you go back and watch it, I don't know. It
had an element of Keystone Cops about it.
Yeah. Do you know, I don't think it was sped up. I think what they've done is they cut frames. When doing action scenes, sometimes people cut frames so that when somebody throws a punch, instead of having the frame that does this, they normally cut the frames so it goes from here to here immediately. So it makes it look more violent. So you can throw a slower punch and then have it seem when you play it back. By cutting those frames out, that it seems like you're throwing a much harder punch. They would do that in Bond films all the time. And I think that's might maybe what they did there. Brilliant cliffhanger. Brilliant.
Yeah, it is a good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Oh. Can you believe it? We're on to the final part, Eva. That goes to show how good an episode this is.
Yeah, look, like I said, I think it's an underrated story, underrated episode. Again, the story itself, it's a little bit convoluted in what the Master's trying to do. They threw in the delegate thing in the first 3 episodes as sort of a bit of an intrigue. But I think that, you know, it's an underrated. It's definitely underrated for me anyway.
Right, tell me when.
3, 2, 1, go. It's not bad actually. This BritBox. I'm quite happy with it actually.
Well, don't keep stopping, so we got
No,
to get
you
it
know,
out.
automatic cues and everything. It's just that it does a BritBox thing in between episodes. That's all. And it's got, like I said, it's got every Doctor Who on it, from An Unearthly Child to Survival, which is fantastic because Doctor Who's not on Netflix anymore. So, and even then they didn't have the classic. But yeah, fantastic choice of location as well.
No, maybe that weren't sped up then, having looked at it a second time.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I would have said it's cut frames. Good fake out. Probably one of the best fake outs. He's always going to bring him down, isn't he? He's always
Yeah,
like. But again, like the small things of the production, with the production value wise, like they got the master being chauffeured around in a Rolls Royce. Limo driven, like. The fact that they've got genuine military hardware in this as well.
well, yeah, that missile does not look like a plastic rocket like we saw the other week.
No, exactly. He's not a pretty chap.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I do believe it's a couple more episodes before they get him.
I like the fact that the master's a bit of a cigar chomper as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like Delgado's literally going, right, what are all the bad habits that the Doctor doesn't have? That I could throw in. Like, he's getting chauffeured around instead of driving himself. He's a smoker, he's got all these things.
I'm surprised he's not swigging from a bottle of whiskey in between puffs.
Yeah.
machine's on overdrive.
Yep. It's called the wibbly wobbly effect.
It's affecting the camera. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Again, I don't mind it like that because it makes you feel like you're in the room. It pulls you in.
Also, like the way with that machine, as basic as it is now when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way the inner part of it's gradually filling up.
Yeah. The brain is growing as it's feeding. Yeah. Again, there's a lot of well thought out stuff put into it. It's just I just wish the machine was a little bit more imposing. It's not the best showing for Benton.
No.
You're in a prison. Go off and talk to whoever you fancy.
Yeah.
In reverse the polarity.
What, of the neutron flow?
Acid. Lots of acid. Just open up the container and just pour acid.
Napalm.
I think he says that it's impossible to do that.
I don't think I've heard him say napalm at all, to be fair.
No, I think he will later. I think it'll be like, you can't kill it that way. I would do wish they'd put in like some sort of line into there to say that it's got its own shield, or it's produced its own mind force field or something to stop you from being able to get to it. Just because of how fragile the actual prop looks. Name drop.
That's handy. Isn't it?
Yeah. Again, I'm not sure how that works.
Well, that's science fiction for you.
But
It just
yeah,
does.
because like there are other minds in the room, so even if you couldn't feed off him, you could feed off the others.
Not if his mind's blocking it with its simplicity, though.
Throw it at the wall, see what sticks.
Mm.
There you go.
You hadn't thought about napalm. Napalm will work.
Yeah, it's always worth a try. It is a disgusting looking mulch.
It is. It looks like it had an eyeball in the top of it as well.
Yeah. I've only been gone 5 minutes. I mean, this scene is just kind of reiterating the point of Barnum, I guess.
Yeah. It's exposition for Dr. Summers, isn't it, I suppose?
I mean, I'm not sure how that would work, but there we are. A British rocket being fired on a British city, I'm not sure that would start a world war. If it was fired on a foreign national, and there we have it.
Yeah.
And a little bit of plot continuity there. A lot of prisoners have been shot. He's a doctor. Imagine that. Somebody's actually thought about what he's doing. I wonder if they've actually sat down in the office when they were writing this and going, well, what's this character doing now? You know, just going on the board, like all the characters on the board, wondering where these people are, where they are in this timeline and what they're doing.
No, they probably did. They've probably got a group of people going through and brainstorming what should be doing now.
Yeah. Well, they've had a brainstorm, now they're having a brain fart.
No, these days they're having a brain light shower.
Again, it's leaving it late into the last episode to wrap things up.
Well, you want to keep people watching,
Yeah,
don't you?
absolutely. And again, it's difficult to criticise it on that because of the format of the show. It's easy to say because
Yeah.
we're watching it, 6 episodes back to back. I don't think they were ever planning on binge viewing these when they were making it in 71.
Well, no, I mean this was planned to be scrapped, wasn't it? Basically, which is why I'm watching a black and
Yeah.
white one.
Again, I think the format of this just goes to show testament, really, to how well this was put together and directed as well. Because they could have easily have just done it, because it's week to week and, no repeats or even videotape. They could have done the same shtick every week. But they didn't. This is quite a layered story.
Yeah, it is. Well, I quite like the fact that it was to do with a world delegation, and they completely turned that on its head, and it wasn't about that at all. I think that was a great red herring.
I mean, it was put there to stretch out the story. But, yeah, no, it's the fact that he's using it. Well, I don't know if it's a red herring, but because the Chinese delegates there were going to start the war, basically. But
Yeah, but via the control of the master.
Yeah. And that's it. That's why when the doctor straightened it out with them, he was like, leave me handle it. Quite a windy day there. Yeah, you can see how windy the day was there when the audio levels there were getting out of.
Yeah. It's good that they left that in because that gives it an air of realism.
Yeah, they could have done ADR on that and they didn't.
Oh, there goes another ton of money.
Yeah. But again, it makes Unit more authentic.
Yeah, it does.
And again, the model effects that you see in this are really good. Urgency is key. That lovely pushing.
Should imagine blowing that shed up. Cost a few quid as well.
Yeah, model unit. Again, the work is really, really well done.
Yeah, it is.
And he did. He did help you. He died, but he helped you. See, no, they could have not bothered putting in any audio with that. But they actually had Delgado's voice. Rubbing it in.
As a good baddie should.
But it's nice that he made his escape. And that's the end of that. It's the end of Mind of Evil. Close this.
Well, I thought that was great.
Again, it's underrated. It's as a Doctor Who story, it is underrated. It's for me anyway. But now that you've seen it, what's your first thoughts after seeing all 6 episodes back to back?
I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I didn't think the story was that bad at all. And like you say, it's underrated. The production on it is unbelievable.
The production value, I feel, brings the story up, because I think that if like we've talked about this previously during throughout the episode, but Timothy Coombs, who directed it, his choice to spend more on the show just elevates it. Just totally elevates it. The location that they choose, and the fact that they choose to shoot so much of it on location, and when they shoot it inside the set, first of all, it's a well constructed set, it's a well thought out set, but it's also it's of a higher quality. It's a multi-story set. It's not just on the studio floor. So there's a lot of stuff that's injected into this, which I feel brings the story up. Could they have done more? Probably, with the mind. Definitely with the mind machine, but it's a MacGuffin for the Master. So,
Yeah.
So again, not a favourite of mine, largely due to my dislike of stories where the enemy is a machine or a computer. This is Face of Evil, War Machines, Green Death. I mean, yeah, that's my point, is the fact that the Mind of Evil is just a MacGuffin. It's Wotan, it's all those things, but it's just there for the Master, for him to have something to use as a utensil to get what he wants. But again,
See, now he says that, and I happen to know that one of his favourite films is Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So get out of that one, Rommel.
but I see where he's coming from though, because again, the Mind of Evil thing could have worked better. I feel if first of all, if they'd strengthened the look of the actual prop itself, but if they had actually given it something to there was no moral questioning of the value of it, or it was something to be destroyed. There was no, like, you've seen Genesis of the Daleks. There's always that moral question of whether or not you have the right to destroy something just because you disagree with its existence. And this was not that. This was a thing in a tank that had to be blown up. So there's that part of the story, and again, there's logical fallacies of throughout the story whereby you wouldn't really make those sorts of decisions. You definitely wouldn't make the decision to dump a missile into the sea. At least not one that was still primed and charged and ready to go off. You'd take the fuel out of it, you'd unprime it, you'd take any detonators in it out of it. It's supposed to be like nuclear powered or something like that. So there you just wouldn't dump that into the sea at all. So they could have been. It might have been better if they'd said we'd taken it to another place for it to be dismantled. That's how it becomes abducted. But yeah, there's a few things where I feel like they could have. This could have easily been a 4-episode story, and it would have held up just as well. In fact, it would have probably been. You don't get the character stuff though with a 4-episode story. That's the only thing. So yeah, they sacrifice in a little bit of gumption, I guess, for character development, but we do get these little moments, and some of those little moments are really nice. The camera work in this is extraordinary. That's one.
Yeah, no argument from me on that. It really is.
It's just really good stuff. It doesn't make you feel like you're studio bound. Particularly when they do these big opening shots. The shot of looking out the window at the Master's limo driving off down the street is it's these small things. They tend to be shots that they don't even do these days. Even though they've got rapid access to things like a Milo or a crane cam or something like that, they tend not to be used. Whereas in this, like I said, the shots of them when they assault the prison, where the shots of them looking down at the steps, those big huge banking the steps, all that sort of stuff. It's the production value is what elevates this. Again, musically, the music in this is leaps and bounds, light years ahead of where it was in the last week's. Just the fact that it was thematically in tune with the episode. The sound design in this, brilliant. You noticed this earlier on as well when you were on about the typewriting.
Yeah.
Being in the secretary's room and then walking into the office and still having the sound in the background. Was it Lucas? Well, yeah, okay, you got me there on the Star Trek thing. I mean, yeah. I look. The other good thing with the episode as well is that it's not just the Master fails. The Master is in some ways succeeds because he still gets something of what he wanted anyway, which was the dematerialization circuit for the TARDIS, for his TARDIS.
Yeah.
So, any highlights of this episode for you, Chris?
I did like the camera work, and I particularly liked the the stunt work when Unit stormed the prison. I thought that was really, really well done.
Yeah.
Apparently, Katie Manning has named this as her favourite story, so she likes it. Yeah, it was just, I thought it was all round good. Like I said, Joe, I didn't mind the whole bit with the peace conference at the beginning that Unit was going to throw, because is it the Day of the Daleks where they're throwing another one?
Yeah.
It's like the second one, where this one should have been. So that kind of ties up eventually. No, I thought the whole thing was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm gonna have to get the colour version now.
The colour version looks just brilliant. Anyway, you know, it's it looks very good. I'm curious as to whether or not they've done anything for the Blu-ray, because I haven't seen any of the Blu-rays for this season, and I don't even know, is the Blu-ray out yet? I know they were looking at it. I'm pretty sure it must be, surely. So I'd be wondering whether or not they've treated it or not. Let's have a quick look.
I don't know, that thing I sent you last week that cleared up some of the some of the separation shots. I know because Luke Oza sent that to
That
me
was very
and I
nice.
passed it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's from the Blu-ray or not.
Doctor Who Blu-ray, what was it? Season 8?
It is, yeah.
Season 8 limited edition packaging Blu-ray. Again, it doesn't hurt that you've got Delgado in the series with Pertwee.
No, it certainly doesn't. Them two really, really work well on screen together.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the cleanup that they did for Terror of the Autons was wonderful. I thought that cured a lot of problems. I'd be interested to see what they did for this, if they've done anything at all. I can't imagine that you'd have to do anything though. This is a really high standard episode.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really. I mean, I suppose the only real effect was
the wobble
in the last couple of episodes where the like the prisoners were running towards the machine to shoot it, and there's that kind of negative film effect going on.
Yeah.
Other than that, I suppose the effects with the fire and the water in the earlier episodes when the machine's first starting to act up.
But they're minor, just overlays, aren't they? I mean, they're
Yeah.
so. I mean, this episode's quality. Even if you take everything out of it, take the story out, take all the acting ability out, all of that. Just on a production value, this is leaps and bounds higher than most of Classic Who. Just in terms of the way it's shot, just in the way that the sound is used. I mean, there's even a point whereby they're entering one of the HQs and they've actually got the sound of a car driving past. It's just small things, you know. Like I said, when he picks up,
there is an error. There is an error in it somewhere where you hear someone sneeze that wasn't supposed to be in there, but
it doesn't matter, does it?
no, it doesn't.
I mean, like, it just makes the thing feel populated. And when you've got, like I said, when he picks up the phone and you've got Delgado's voice actually coming down the phone, you know, you didn't have to put it there. You could have just picked up the phone, put it to his ear, and just said, "Oh, it's for you." I mean, it didn't have to do that at all. The sound of things that's supposed to be coming over the radio sound like genuine radio. Yeah, I mean, the acting in this was good. And again, when you got these moments whereby, you know, the actors really feel immersed in what they're doing. I mean, maybe the pink dragon, for the 2 seconds it's on screen, could have been zhuzhed up a little bit. But it's 2 seconds. What do you want to do with that? So yeah, good ending. Essentially, the Doctor cocks up and allows the Master to escape. I mean, but it's also the Master as well, right? I mean, the Master's put everything, set up these dominoes, so that, you know, the worst case scenario for him is that he gets out, and he'd had hostages. He'd had these prisoners that he was using as militia. It's a big story, but like I said, I think it gets overlooked because there are more weirdy sci-fi notions that get, because if you look at it, it's kind of plain. The sci-fi notion here is that it's a box on a table, and that's really as interesting as it gets. And I think that's probably why it gets overlooked. You know, yeah, you've got the Master in there, and there's a bit of running around in action, but I don't know. I think maybe if you were to, again, maybe it's just me, but the Mind of Evil itself is not very memorable. As a prop design, it's not very memorable, and I think
Although it was more of a Mind of Evil than the Cyberman attack was.
oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I
For
mean,
sure.
it did do what it said on the box.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. The concept is not what I'm at all having a go at. It's just the fact that I think that if you were to look at all the great villains and great villainous stories, what makes them stand out is how identifiable they are. And this thing is just a box. It, like I said, it looks like somebody's put a policeman's helmet on a side desk. It's not very imposing. It's kind of uninspired, and that's where I'm gonna take a point off for. It's
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. The only real sort of effect that was a bit dodgy was what you called the Blake 7 effect, the wibbly wobbly
Yeah,
thing. That could do with being changed in a remaster, I think, but it still weren't that bad.
yeah. I mean, it's
You got to take the time it was made into consideration as
Oh,
well. At least
totally.
it weren't another ton of color separation overlays or anything like that. So
I'm not sure what they would do. I mean, they just use Envision Mixer at this point.
yeah,
They Quantel wasn't even a thing, so or Paintbox. So they just use Envision Mixer, and this effect is done by if I remember rightly, it's done by altering the fields and the frequency so that alternate fields are switched off and even fields are switched on. And basically, you go for a transition, but you don't actually transition. That's how the effect is made, and it causes because it's because of how televisions work then, or how they used to work with it building the picture via lines. It would displace those lines, so that's how you would get that effect. And of course, it would, by frequency, you'd alter the frequency, so it would do this, and that then you'd get the displacement. So that really, I mean, to use a transition, it was just an editing box. Really, at the end of the day, I mean, it was probably an editing box the length of my room, but but it was, at the time it was state of the art. So you've got to take that into consideration as well. What's the worst thing about this episode, Chris?
the worst thing about the episode. It probably is the actual thing, the actual Mind of Evil itself. I would say, thinking about it, having just watched it.
Yeah, I mean it is a shame though, isn't it? I mean, like had they, because like if you look at like older props, like you know the Dalek Emperor, that big huge like hexagon thing in the corner.
Yeah.
Like I think it's Dark Master Plans. I mean, there's much more memorable looking things. And as you said, you know, when they put it on the floor, it just looked like this phallic shaped thing. I don't know. For me, what the worst thing in this episode? Oh, I mean, I guess obviously the logical fallacies. That to me is when they start making decisions on, how this story's supposed to pan out, and it's stuff that you can kind of dismiss very easily, and you shouldn't be able to. Like, how does the military do this? Like, if you've got this missile that, again, going back to the missile thing, if you go back to the how they talk about it, it's like, oh, this missile has to be disposed of, and yet they've got, like, what, one Jeep escorting it, and you're like, really? That's I don't think that's... I mean, they could have put in a couple of different vehicles in there. I know they had the motorbikes, because obviously the stunt team love working with the motorbikes.
Well, they probably would have had another 6 Land Rovers, but they blew the money on the helicopter.
Probably, yeah. But it's just the fact that, there are things in this that don't always add up, and particularly when you're dealing with a story which is set around a couple of geniuses, you expect a little bit more refinement around that. For me, my favourite parts of this were, I mean, definitely the camera work. The camera work was amazing. That transition shot between Pertwee and Delgado was just stunning.
Yeah, that reminds me. I mean, I'm wondering if they copied that for the transition shot between the Mona Lisa and Connor McLeod in Highlander.
Possibly. I mean,
that's the only other time I've seen a shot like that, or was it the Statue of Liberty, or whatever it was, and Connor McLeod in Highlander. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, that was really, really well done.
So yeah, those are standout things in the episode. Again, Dudley Simpson just stepped up his game completely. Totally stepped up his game this week. He wasn't one finger wondering on the keyboard. He was actually writing themes. And then again you get Chin Lee as well, the character, and her acting in this. We've got to go right way back to the first 3 episodes to her, but she was absolutely brilliant, and creepy as well when she was in her zombification mode. And it kind of showed the range of the actress as well.
Yeah, it does.
So, Mind of Evil, to me, still underrated. Is this better than last week's episode, Terror of the Autons? See, it's not as memorable and it's not as exciting as Terror of the Autons. But I think that's because it is a 6-parter. And I think 6 is really sort of maxing out to your sort of... I mean, we've had longer episodes that have been more thrilling, I guess. But I don't know. Where do you sit with this? Because for me, I think that they could have trimmed this a little bit. Trimmed some fat off this and still ended up with a really great episode.
Yeah, I mean, the only things they really could have cut out was some of the exposition and character development. I suppose they could have trimmed that back a bit. But then, in this one, I didn't mind that because it was done in a way that I wasn't sitting here thinking, oh, for Christ's sakes, get on with it. I was like, oh, right, so this is where they're coming from. So it's one of those things, you're paying Peter or stealing from Peter to pay Paul sort of thing. It's yeah, they could have trimmed it down to make it a tighter story, mm-hmm. But I think what you would have lost was worth seeing.
See, here's the thing. I don't mind the slower paced stories, and I think what the 6-parters do is allow for a better performance from the supporting cast. I feel like, because we got a full range of supporting cast that you don't get to see it in Modern Who because they don't have the time. It's always in and out, bang for your buck. Whereas with a 6-parter like this, they took their time to really flesh out the background characters, and we get to know Mike Yates a bit more, and it was a good showing for him because he came out of it looking like a hero. Good showing for Benton, I suppose, but Benton was a little bit, maybe it was just because John Levine was injured, but he was a bit more of a wet blanket in this, I think.
Well, with including 3 uncredited cast members, the cast list on this is 30 people. That's including 3 uncredited.
Yeah.
So you've got 27 cast and 3 uncredited cast members. I mean,
and the military.
And the military. But you're talking about a 1971 production.
This is what
with a plus 30 cast, and near enough everybody had something to do.
Well, this is my point though, is the fact that you got to remember to look at this from the point of view of we are lucky to binge view this.
Yeah.
And in 1971, this was not a thing. This was going out as a one-time only broadcast. It might have got repeated, sometime in the future if they'd even thought of that. But aside from that, this was a one-time deal. The idea of video recorders was still, 6 years away? 1974, 75, 76, probably 5 years to Betamax VHS. It wasn't even, so the idea of binge watching wasn't even a thing. So we're lucky that we get to have a retrospective and look at it from our view, looking back on it, whereas this was a week by week thing. And it's difficult to criticize it because even when we used to watch, like when they used to put Doctor Who on in the 90s on BBC Two on a Sunday morning, they would still put a couple of episodes back to back. Even if they wouldn't do 6 episodes back to back, they would still you'd have at least 2 episodes per week. So you still got a much better intake of the story, and it was still fresher in your mind than what it would have been if you watched this. I mean, you imagine how you had to watch 6 weeks. This was the entire summer holidays.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's not something we're likely to do, but I wonder how different our view would be of a story like a 6-parter if we'd have done one a week and we'd have done it over 6 weeks. I wonder how much different we'd be talking about it now.
I don't know, but I think, like I said, it's difficult to say. It really is difficult to say, but particularly with a story like this, whereby it's a progressive story. They're not I said it earlier. They're not rehashing the same stuff week in, week out. It's not. I know there was a lot of the Doctor gets captured in this, which is something that they could have shuffled out if they had trimmed this back. But the story,
the story in the original one, it would have been the Doctor getting captured every week, rather than the Doctor getting captured every 25 minutes.
Yeah. So, that's my thing. But with this particular story, it's still progressive. The story is always changing and moving. It's not the same. Where the story starts from and where it ends up are in 2 completely different places. Whereby we have had Doctor Who stories whereby it's been the same thing week in and week out. It's been the same sort of, the Doctor's trying to do the same thing, and for 4 weeks in a row, and it doesn't make for very entertaining storytelling. Whereas with this, looking at it from our point of view of watching it, basically we've watched this like a movie.
Yeah.
This has been like a 2.5-hour movie, and to me, I think it holds up magnificently. So, I don't really think we've got a lot more to talk about here. I mean, cast-wise, what do you think of the cast of this?
I thought they were great.
Yeah?
I really did. There wasn't really, even the small bit part prisoners were, all right, they were playing like Cockney geezer thugs, most of them, but they did that well.
Yeah. Casting the type as well, like I said, Michael Sheard in this, always a great performer. If there's a science fiction hall of fame, he should go in it. for sure.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those people. He's a long time contributor to Doctor Who, as well as other science fiction stuff. There's this little thing called Star Wars he was in.
Never heard of it.
The first three and the last three. But the middle bit's good. But yeah, I mean, good cast. God, it's.
Well, I think all round,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to jump in feet first, and I'm going to give this 8.5 because I really, really enjoyed it.
I'm probably gonna give it an 8. I'm probably gonna take a point off for plot holes and things, and I'm probably gonna take another point off for just the actual presentation of the mind itself. But aside from that, the production values on this very high. Love the direction on this. Timothy Combs was wronged by the BBC, and that's a statement that follows the BBC for a long time to come. So yeah, that's where I would give that. I don't know. The closer's watching this as well, so I don't know what you're gonna give this in the chat. But yeah, I'm gonna give this an 8. I think it's a good showing for everyone this week. And of course, we got, I think, Claws of Axos is next, I do believe.
Yeah, a rare 4-parter, and
Yeah.
not as good as The Mind of Evil, according to Luke Ozer in the chat there.
I don't think it is, actually. I don't think it is as good an episode. It's one of the monster episodes. It's a Monster Who, and I think it stands out as one of the more memorable monsters for Doctor Who, because it is one of those 70s sci-fi. They kind of. I mean, if I'm gonna say the Axons are somewhere between the Weeping Angels, as a in look, and some sort of statue. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard of a stretch to say that an Axon and a Weeping Angel were related. But yeah, I mean, is it as good an episode? It's faster, is what I would say. But then again, you know, it's like trying to judge, you know, it's like trying to judge a couple of different juggling different things. You know, you either get a faster paced story that's a lot tighter, or you have a broader story which has a lot more character development in it. And the one thing I will take away from watching Classic Who is always that Classic Who can build side characters and supporting cast way better than Modern Who can. Way better. Unless you've got a dedicated episode like Blink, where it's set around the supporting characters. The Modern Who tends to struggle, whereas it's a bit of a breeze for Classic Who. So that's what I think. We'll go. Lacosa says, still here, give it a 7. The big problem with Axos for me is the editing. It makes the whole story seem really rushed, despite it being a bit of a thin story for me. Yeah. You know, there's a couple of edit problems for sure. I mean, there is what they call the Claws of Axos rewrite, which is famous in the Doctor Who community, whereby they wrote the story set in summer and it snowed when they were filming it. So they had to immediately write in, and this asteroid caused it to snow. It was like, no, you could have done better than that. Just set at a different time, you know. But yeah, we'll do that next week. Claws of Axos, Third Doctor. I think we can wrap this up. I think. Anything you want to add, Chris?
No, I think we've just about covered it all, mate. But yeah, definitely. That was the first time I've seen that one, and yeah, I liked it a lot.
I would highly recommend watching it in color. And again, like, you know, when they do the Blu-rays on this, to me, I get why they keep it in episodic form, but given how binge watching works these days, I would just edit them together. I'd leave, you know, provided that you give people the classic, you know, and say, look, you know, this is on the disc as well. This is how it was originally. I don't see any problem with just cutting out all the bits whereby you get the end credits and the start credits all the time, and just have a seamless, you know, movie.
Well, it should be easy to do. I mean, it's only setting flags on the video files. You shouldn't even need to put it on there twice. You can episodic it,
Yeah.
and the disc can tell it to play all the way through. So yeah, I don't know why they don't do that either.
And to me, I think that it would change the viewing experience as well. So, also as well, on particular with an episode like this, we'll have to check out what the Blu-ray is like, because it's difficult to see what they could have changed. I'm guessing, if anything, it's just going to be the colorization. In most things, I know the master tapes were lost for this, so yeah, any Blu-ray that you've got is going to be upscaled. But it would be interesting to see, because upscaling technology is getting better and better all the time. So that's something. Anyway, let's call it quits there, and we'll do
Okey-dokey.
next week Claws of Axos, and look forward to it. So take care, have a good one, and we shall see you next week.
See you later.